G'day, punters. Welcome to the Sydney preview show. Not so much Sydney this week. We're heading up north to Newcastle for the Hunter, for the Spring Stakes as well. It looks a pretty deep card. There's a fair amount of horses to get through, that's for sure. So we'll be focusing on the Quaddie legs. Mark, Shean, I'll start with yourself. Just in terms of punters that may not have spent too much time betting at Newcastle, can you give an overview of your impressions of the track over the years?
Well, this track's been renovated a few years ago, and it's probably the best track in New South Wales, I'd say. It seems to be able to take the rain. Not a lot of bias. Sometimes the inside does get a little bit off and they start swooping down the outside, but mainly after some little bit of rain. But I think with the forecast and the way the track is at the moment, that it should race fairly, and just about every horse should get their chance. So it's a great card of racing on a great track.
All right, beautiful. Mark Rhoden, is there any little form factors you look for with horses at Newcastle?
Perhaps horses who want that bigger track, it's got a nice long run in and big sweeping turn. So perhaps horses that have been unsuited on tighter circuits might get their chance at Newcastle. It is, especially with the rail and the true, it's, I'm not a big fan of get pack horses generally, but the Newcastle and the true is one example when they can actually get their chance.
All right, excellent. Look, we'll start with race 6, which is the Spring Stakes, Group 3 race. In terms of the market, that will be coming up first of all. Perfect Radiance is the favourite at this stage. Mark, Shean, I'll give you the new ball. Did you find anything in race 6 at all?
Look, I'm going for Ellsberg here. He was stepping up from a maiden last start to Saturday Company. He was comprehensively beaten there, but I just think that in both his races, they've gone too slow on him, even though he won and led. I just think he's a much better horse if they let him roll a little bit. And I think from barrier number 1, if Robbie Dolan can take the bit between his teeth here, get to the front and side, I think this horse will keep going, and I think he'll take plenty of catching. I think he represents good value around the $5.50, $6 mark, particularly on an each-way basis. I can't see him missing a hole here. Perfect Radiance is obviously the favourite here, but looks a little bit skinny price-wise to me. She has won both the starts at Newcastle and probably went back to the worst going at Randwick last start. But and she is probably looking for the mile, but I just couldn't get her in that short.
Yeah, it was a visually quite an interesting run there from Ellsberg last start. As you said, they went really slow. I think in the end they probably went around 18 or 19 lengths slow to the 600. But the horse was headed and managed to fight back really strong going through the line. It was good past the post as well. So I'm with you there with Ellsberg. Mark Rhoden, did you find anything in race 6?
I'm a bit too close to the market, actually. I've got Perfect Radiance on top. I'm being a bit forgiving of that run in what looked like the worst round last start, and I think the 1600 will suit her, but I've got it marked over $4, so I can't come into it at this sort of price. I think around 310 is the best you can do at the moment, so 320 perhaps. But yeah, that's too short for me. I half found Real Peace in the Bondi, and I thought he ran really well, but that wasn't a softer track. He did really get every chance. I think the inside was still best at the time the Bondi was run, so I'm just not 100% sure he backs that up, but he's certainly in the race if he can. I've got him level with Ellsberg. I've got them second pick. I think he's certainly looking for 1600 Ellsberg. Another one I think is looking for 1600 is High Supremacy, who I thought was going to be the value in the race. Used by Southerville out of a High Chaparral mare. Didn't look overly impressive last start, but he was only warming up late over 1400. I think 1600 will suit him down to the ground, but I think the edge has gone in his price. He was at $13 and better yesterday, and it just looks like that's been cleaned up, and he's into much closer to his right price, in my opinion, now. So I've got nowhere to go at this stage. It's going to be dependent on market moves on the day, I think.
Yeah. Race 7 on the card is over 1,300 metres. It's the Hunter, another one of these $1 million races. The market's wide open, as you can see there. You've got Trumbull and Rainy Edge. Favoritism at this early stage. Fiesta Cuba also in the market, but there looks to be a heap of chances here. Mark Rhoden, in terms of the speed map, do you have Sweet Deal leading from Cuba?
I thought Cuba might even press on, drawn so wide, and they might. Yeah, well, it's those two and Special Reward not far away, and I think the speed seems to drop off a bit after that, and you're left with horses like perhaps Trumbull, if he jumps, and he has been jumping okay, it seems, of late. I imagine they'll try and take a spot with him. He got caught wide last time and got the job done regardless, but if they can get him in somewhere from his wide gate, that'll give him an even better chance. But yeah, I think it's Cuba, Sweet Deal, Special Reward, and unless one of those three really wants to take it up and run them along, it probably is a moderate pace.
Yeah, I tended to agree there. Mark Shean, in that point, or in that perspective, did you find something settling on speed in this race, or did you think one of the back markers had the edge?
Well, I've gone for Rainier. He did get right back at his last start, but prior to that, he had raced a little bit closer, particularly one day at Rose Hill where he won with Hugh Bowman on. He was sitting in fourth position. I just thought from that kind of draw than last start, he got a long way back, and I think that this race was probably the aim, considering that run last time out. I think from barrier number 8, Collett can give him a smother there. Hopefully they'll roll along a little bit throughout the race. That barrier might be a worry for horses like Fiesta and Asiago. I thought both raced very well through the Melbourne Carnival, but come up with horror draws here, and they'll need a bit of speed on and the race to sort of to spread out a little bit so they can try and find a spot in the run. Trumbull, well, if he jumps away, obviously he's flying at the moment. He's trialled well since his last win, but I'm with Rainier each way in race number 7.
Yep. Wasn't exactly suited there last start either. Mark Rhoden, did you come up with anything that looks a little bit of overs at this stage?
Yeah, I've had to go a little bit wide to do so, though. I lean Trumbull over Rainier, but I think they are the top 2. Trumbull if he jumps, of course, but I think they're pretty close to their right prices. I think Redouble might be the value. He is another one in the category that Mark mentioned. I think that he's going to need a bit of luck from that gate. I don't think, well, it's far from ideal, but if he gets any sort of luck at around 20 to 1, I just thought his run in the Kosciuszko was really, really good. Arguably not in the right part of the track that day. Took a very good mare, It's Me, to knock him off on the line, getting a fair bit of weight too. So if he can get some sort of run and repeat that performance, I think he's over the odds at 20s. There are quite a few middle pin chances in the race, but yeah, Trumbull over Rainier, Redouble probably the value for me.
Okay, very good. Race 8 on the card is over 1400. It's a benchmark 78, and we've got Straub coming off a couple of trials into this event, taking up the market as the favourite. Mark Shean, what was your impression of Straub coming into this event?
Yeah, well, I was a bit slow off the mark here. I think they put up $8 or $8.50. I've been waiting for Straub off a couple of very good trials that sat out in the car park at Gosford there, went round very wide, but just I think he's been set for this race, 1400 metres first up. Doesn't carry a lot of conditions, so I think he'll be ready to go here. I thought Bright Rubik had some sort of chance at odds, number 12. I think its runs have been better than it reads on paper. It has come up with a bad gate, though. Barry number 14 will come in 1 with 1 scratching so far. I thought it was worth a spec at longer odds. Enchanted Hearts racing terrific and come up with a good draw, but I just thought Straub was set for this race and would be hard to beat. 2 wins over 1400 Newcastle.
Mark Rhoden, it does look like a little bit of a setup, as Mark Shean just alluded to. It does have the track and distance figures. It recorded a good figure first up last prep. Is it just that obvious, or could you give another horse a bit of a knockout chance here?
No, I'm Straub from Enchanted Heart. I think they're clearly the 2, and I'd want to back Straub. It's kind of close to the price, but I don't think it's huge value. It looks like it might even shorten further, but I want to be on it. I've got it nice. I've actually got it nicely clear of Enchanted Heart with a bit of a gap to the others. So it's the way I want to go for all the reasons mentioned. But once they straightened out her problems with the start, she used to miss the start every time. Once they ironed that out, she's really gone from strength to strength, with the only blot on the copybook being the Kensington failure on a wet and absolutely ridiculously biased track as well. So you just pen that. Trial sensational. Yep, she looks the one, and I can't really. Nothing at what you might call value appeals to me really. So I'll be trying to back Straub, and the only one I'd save on is Enchanted Heart if the market took a set against it for some reason. But other than that, it looks a bit thin to me.
Yeah, certainly does appeal that way. Race 8 there. The last on the card is over 1300. It's benchmark 88. Through the cracks. It was good there last start. It was a horse that Rob Scarry found in the yard at a price, but didn't quite get the job done. In terms of the market, it's the current elect from Hilo and 2 Big Fari. Mark Shean, did you This map to me looks a bit chaotic. Could you find a genuine leader? Do you think one of these horses drawn wide and Reflectivity or Edison will come across the lead, or do you think Too Big Fari will take it up?
Yeah, I think he'll go forward on Too Big Fari. He's a bit one pace, so I think he'll probably press on in the early stages there, and will take it up in and up. Might have to roll forward from a wideish barrier. Chat, if it starts from 20, might have to kick up as well. He'll come in a few, obviously with scratchings, but I think he'd have to be labelled urgent from the start there. Facts and figures probably say Hilo can't win, but I just think it may have, on reflection, been on the worst part of the track there at the end of the day, and probably ridden a touch too close. So I know the Cracks was a very good run, as we mentioned on the review after they clashed last time out. And he's obviously been set for this race as well. But I just thought probably a little bit better value Hilo, and coming up with a little bit better barrier. So 7 from 9. I'm not too sure about Through the Cracks last trial at Gosford. I know he was wide. I just thought he could have trialled a touch better. I thought he trialled better before he ran first up, but maybe I'm reading too much into that. He did have brushing boots on, which I hadn't seen him wear before, so they might have 2 ton of lead in them. I'm not sure. I'm with number 7, Hilo.
Very good. Mark Rhoden, something the last for yourself?
Yeah, I wish I hadn't seen that trial. I was the same. I thought it was very plain. And I mentioned I saw them. I wasn't sure if they were brushing boots or bandages. Yeah, so if they're brushing boots, yeah. It was the last thing I looked at was its trial, and I was just all set to load the cannons. And I wish I hadn't seen it. It was very ordinary, but I've still got it in on top. Hilo, I think, will go better on a dry track, as well as possibly being in the worst ground last time. Just getting a little bit deep into the prep, possibly, and if all's well with Through the Cracks, it should have more upside this time in at least. But surely, you don't ring James McDonald's manager and say, our horse is going terrible, can you ride it? I mean, it must be going all right. So I'll go his way from Hilo. It's a really good benchmark 88. Too Big Fari, I thought, did a great job in the Kosciuszko unsuited. I didn't think he'd be suited up on a cracking pace in 1200 like that, but he fought on really well. 11-11's got great form. I thought Asherani was terrific in the Fury Hilo race first up. I don't think Barrier 1's her go, but she's obviously come back well. Reflectivity's a dry tracker. I don't think he's going to get many map favours. He might not have the quality of some of those others, but yeah, it's and Edison, who's all but won in town last start's going to go around at pretty good odds. It's a really deep benchmark 88, but I might just shut my eyes and go Through the Cracks, I think.
All right. Sounds good. We'll go through if there's any bests, any value, any lay bets that you're having on the card. Just throw them out now. Mark Shean, I'll start with you.
Well, I think Ellsberg will be hard to beat in that spring stakes. So I'm hoping Robbie Dolan goes to the front from barrier number 1 and lets him roll and makes it into a bit of a solid test rather than holding up on him and waiting for a sprint. So he's my best of the day and looks a very tough meeting, but I think Ellsberg will be hard to beat.
All right, very good. Mark Rhoden, for yourself, do you have a best at this stage?
Best at a bit of odds is Spirit Ridge in race 5. Only had one start in Australia. Won first up on that occasion. Had a few trials here. Barrier not great, but I think this is a very winnable race. And at better than $7, I think I will take the punt. I'll bet in the highway if this thing, Cecilia, stays under $5. I think it's making the market to about 3 or 4, and that I think that's a very, very short price. Does look like it's starting to drift out a bit now, but there are a couple of horses in that race, like Lord Heron, for instance, I thought were over the odds. So hopefully, Cecilia stays short and makes the market for me.
All right. Very good. Thank you to you both. Now, for those people who would usually jump on board with Rob Scurry stuff, he's not going to be on course at Newcastle due to current COVID restrictions for this weekend. He will also be having next week off with the meetings at Wyong and Kembla Grange. So he can freshen up, and we'll see him back, I think, at Warwick Farm is the next meeting around the 23rd of November off the top of my head. But I'll be back on course at Ascot. So if you need some betting intel late into the evening, I can't wait. I'm champing at the bit. I think the weather's probably going to be a bit wet early in the day, but it should fine up in towards the afternoon. So I can't wait to get back on course and see a horse that doesn't have a police officer on board. So first time in 8 months, I think. Can't wait. But we'll talk about Newcastle on Monday. Thank you to you both. Enjoy the weekend and go well with your punting.
See you, boys.